Hello there, my friend, and welcome to Disney Travel Secrets. Rob and Kerri Stewart here, coming to you from the Creating Magic Vacation Studio in Disney's backyard, Windermere, Florida. This is show number 377, original air date May 6th, 2024.
And this week's topic is things I wish I would have known before my Disney World trip.
And that is specifically for Walt Disney World, which is very different from the California parks.
All right, let's get started.
Hello, my friends. This is former Disney Imagineer Hugh Darley, and you're listening to Disney Travel Secrets with my friends Rob and Kerri Stewart. As you can imagine, I have plenty of Disney secrets myself, and I can't wait to share them with you. Let's get this show on the road. Take it away, guys.
We are now back from our trip on the Seine River on Alma Waterways in Paris, and I would love to tell you about our first experience at an international park, which is Disneyland Paris.
Yeah, and more important, we were there on May the 4th, and so we are going to report back and let you know how they do it over there. Like, is Star Wars a big thing over at the Disneyland Paris park? Because they don't have Batuu, and so we'll see if there is anything we have to share. But we recorded this before.
Yes, so we can't tell you about it yet, even though it's in the future, kind of like the movie Back to the Future. I'm also wearing my Epcot Cosmic Rewind passport shirt that I referenced.
Pass holder?
Pass holder, yeah, pass holder. Pass holder. I talked about this on last week's show where we talked about our top 5 favorite rides, and Guardians of the Galaxy is clearly one of them because I've got the shirt.
Yeah, and since we are home, if you are interested in working with us at Creating Magic Vacations, either over as to become an agent with our team or to book your vacation with us, just go to creatingmagicvacations.com. There's a button for plan a vacation and one for join our team.
We've traveled on some pretty big trips, and normally we're not going to do big trips kind of back to back, in a 1 or 2 month period. And we just
kind of worked out that way.
It just worked out that way.
But we do have a couple of trips planned for this summer, and we are looking forward to them. But ironically, both are cruises. So we've done 2 river cruises, and now we have 2 cruises coming up. But again, this is an occupational hazard when you're a travel agent. You tend to go on a lot more, not necessarily vacations, but you travel a lot more, which is part of why we are in travel, because we love it.
My accountant wanted me to say that these are business trips. Thank you. So May 17th, we're cruising on the Disney Wish for the second time. And this is just a quick weekend trip. It's a Friday to Monday. And we have some of you guys that are listening to us coming with us. And it's actually not too late, as long as cabins are available. So if you do reach out to us, we'll check and see if there are any cabins available if you want to cruise with us.
Yeah, last I checked, it was pretty much just balconies and concierge that were
correct.
left.
Yeah, well, and they don't have a lot of inside or ocean views. So
they really don't on the Wish. Now, the other one, and I am excited about this, and I'm excited for you listening too, because this may be a cruise that you would like to experience. We are going to be on the inaugural for Royal Caribbean's Utopia of the Seas.
We just got the invite a week or 2 ago.
Yeah, and this is going to be in the month of July. What I love about this ship is, number one, it is sailing from Port Canaveral. So that makes it a good
We don't have to travel south.
Yeah, they're only doing 3 and 4 night sailings. And so that makes it a really good add-on if you would like to experience this size of ship, tack it on to your Disney World vacation, which I think is a great idea because it, for the most part on the schedule, it will go from Friday to Monday and then Monday to Friday.
And this ship is part of their Oasis class. So it's going to be like Oasis and also Allure.
Wonder.
Yeah. It's going to be packed of things to do. We have toured one of these ships. We actually, about, 6 years ago, we toured.
And then we just toured Wonder we toured recently. Yeah.
So we've toured the ships, but we've never sailed on a ship this big. So we're excited for that. And our first time going to Perfect Day at Coco
I know we were supposed to go in 2020 and that cruise, of course, got canceled. But that is a really special stop. And it's a private island and they completely redid it. And a lot of the other cruise lines are now building theirs to compete because
everybody's building
they have a lot of stuff going on there.
Private islands are the new thing in cruising.
Yeah, but ones that have a lot of activities. We've had private islands for a really long time, but it's pretty much just been sand and umbrellas. And now they're all getting plussed up, which is kind of exciting.
Well, because Disney kept raising the bar, and the other one's like, okay, we have to do something.
Yeah, for sure. Now, another thing we have coming this summer, which we're super excited about, and I include this in our travels for the summer, and that is we are doing our first Creating Magic Vacations Mastermind with our agents. And we're going to be doing that here in Orlando. I'm really excited about this deep dive into their businesses.
We are going to do like a deep dive, like you said, and what's different from Agent Palooza, that's just a giant event with, 30 to 40 of our travel partners, vendors, cruise lines of that nature. This is just going to be pretty much us and Kerri really going down the path of planning out what you do in your business and evaluating what's working and what isn't, and kind of give each agent their own kind of plan of action.
Yeah, and I feel like this is an exclusive to our agency, which is kind of fun. But I just mention it because for some of you that are interested in getting into the travel industry, that is something that you could possibly participate in.
Yes,
if you become one of our agents.
We're looking at August, yes.
Yes. Okay, so what are your plans this summer? Hopefully you have something on the books. Are you going to be traveling? Are you going to head Disney, or are you going somewhere else for your summer vacation?
One of the very popular destinations that we're seeing outside of Disney and cruises is Yellowstone National Park, and specifically is because your guide is Kevin Costner.
It is not.
Kevin's not doing that anymore, sorry.
He is not, no. But we can definitely thank the TV show for that. Show Yellowstone, and then they have 1883 and 1923.
Spoiler alert, if you watch 1923, it stops and it's done for the season. There's no resolution on the plot.
But it's been really interesting, the number of requests that we have been getting for Yellowstone National Park. And I know that it is because of the TV show. And what we have found are a lot of the tour companies that are in that neck of the woods, they're all trying to put together some really great itineraries, but the one doing probably one of the best jobs, especially for Montana, or if you want to do the other national parks down in southern Utah and Arizona, is Adventures by Disney.
Yes.
And so that is something that I would highly recommend.
And if you want to plan for, let's say, next summer, let us know, because those itineraries will probably come out later this month. We're assuming, along with the Disney Cruise Line itineraries for the end of 2025.
Yeah, hopefully those all come out on time. And we still have not heard anything about the Halloween, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party tickets.
That should be very soon.
That should. So speaking of summer, it is that time of year again. That time being, we are in the Florida heat and humidity.
Now, before you head on down to beautiful Walt Disney World, go check out show number 174 in the Disney Travel Secrets catalog. And that's going to be summer tips for your Disney trip. And it's good info that is pretty timeless. We call that evergreen. It means even things we wrote in our book 10 years ago about cruising are still relevant today.
So as we're working on topics for this show that we feel like you would get some really good value from, and ones that would help you have a better experience at Walt Disney World or learn a Disney travel secret, this particular one for this week kept coming to mind because of some things that we learned on our own trips when we were coming up here once a month for 7.5 years, staying on property anywhere from 3 to 7 nights. We've stayed at every single Walt Disney World hotel that's on property here in the Orlando area, and then also in Disneyland. So we know a few things.
We do. And that includes our stay at Shades of Green, thanks to our friend Anthony.
Yeah. And then we've also stayed off property as well in home rentals. We have stayed at Flamingo Crossings. We've stayed at Disney Springs.
The Waldorf.
The Waldorf a lot of times.
We like the Waldorf.
But even more important, when we have been talking with clients, when they come back from their trip and they're saying, oh my gosh, this was like the best trip ever. Next time, I think I want to do X. And so that was what kind of drove the subject for this week's show.
It comes up enough that we thought, hey, it'd be a good show topic. So this week we have 9 of those to share with you, and some of them are probably not what you're thinking.
Yeah. So the first one is the distance to the parks. Like, I wish I would have really understood and known the distance to the parks. And this is from both staying on property and also off property.
Like when people say, I wished I wouldn't have stayed in a timeshare in Davenport.
Yeah.
It looks so close on the map. But as Karen and I like to say, Orlando is 30 minutes from Orlando.
Yeah. The maps can be very, very deceiving when it comes to gauging actually the amount of time you need to spend to get from either your hotel or to the parks. And I think Disney Springs is one of the most deceptive because there is so much traffic over there. And even though they have their buses, the buses will stop at multiple hotels. So it's very deceptive on that distance. And the same kind of goes for where your resort is located. Because keep in mind, Walt Disney World is very, very big. And if you're at one of the All-Stars, the bus can feel really long.
It is.
Mostly at the end of the day,
the
for
reason
sure.
Is because it is.
Yeah. And then the other thing related to distance to the parks is between the parks.
So unlike the California parks where you can walk between Disneyland and California Adventure in less than a minute, and yes, we did time that one year on one of our stays, there's really only 2 parks you can walk in between, although you wouldn't want to now because of the Skyliner, and that's Hollywood and Epcot. Animal Kingdom is, for understandable reasons, on the whole other side of Disney property. And if you want to, you can go to Magic Kingdom and take the monorail to Epcot, but you're not going to be walking between those 2 parks. And with the Disney Skyliner, unless you really like walking, it doesn't make sense to walk from Hollywood to Epcot or vice versa.
So next up on the list was, I wish I would have stayed at a deluxe resort. And yes, we do hear this a lot, even from somebody who is on a very tight budget. They just are like, I wish I would have just stayed much closer to the parks and stayed at a deluxe resort and just went ahead and paid the additional cost.
And that's also a good time maybe when you do a split stay, is you can't afford, or it's not in your budget for a 7-night stay at Contemporary. Maybe you do 3 or 4 at Pop Century and then move to Contemporary for a couple nights. Being close to the parks, like if you're staying at Grand Floridian and just being able to walk to the park or take a monorail, that is a huge time saver.
Huge time saver. And if you envision it, the middle of the day, you're down here in the summer, it's super hot, and you're just like, I just want to get back to the resort and go in the pool this afternoon for just a couple of hours. Much, much easier to do when you are staying at a deluxe resort.
Yes, it is. Next up, this has become very popular just in recent years, and that is where you get dropped off from Uber or Lyft.
Yeah, one of the reasons this one is really important, a lot of people will say, you know what, the bus line from Pop Century to get on the bus to go to Magic Kingdom was so long. So we decided we were going to take Uber. And then the feedback is, but I wish I would have known that the drop-off part went to Ticket and Transportation. So even though I may have waited for that second bus at Pop Century to go to Magic Kingdom, I ended up getting in that big crowd at the Ticket and Transportation Center. And no, they will not let you get dropped off at Contemporary. The Uber drivers are not allowed to go in there and drop you off unless you have an actual dining reservation. The same thing goes with Pop and with Grand Floridian.
Now, I'll tell you the best drop-off point for probably any of the parks, in my opinion, would be Animal Kingdom. They drop you off at the front door. Like you're closer than the buses take you.
Yeah, it's actually the best drop-off and pickup point.
Yeah, but also think about when you're leaving the parks, especially if you're going to leave Epcot after the nighttime show and think you're going to just jump on the Skyliner, or if you want to get an Uber, you're going to have to walk to one of the hotels.
Yeah, definitely is going to cost you some time. So this next one is one that I have heard so many times lately, and I think that Facebook is the one that really puts a lot of pressure on people for when they're planning their Disney vacations.
How dare they?
I know, mentally they're like, oh, I'm not looking forward to this, but it's Disney, we got to do it. But this one is, I wish I would have known that it's okay to not rope drop and instead sleep in and enjoy my day and maybe go to the parks later.
That's a really good tip, because also if you're not going to rope drop the parks, then the bus lines are going to be shorter. If you wait till maybe 10 or 11, the bus lines are going to be shorter. It'll be quicker to get in the park because everybody's trying to rope drop. But yeah, you're on vacation. It's okay to sleep in. You still have plenty of time to do everything.
Yeah, and if you are somebody who's not a morning person, to your benefit, you will outlast everybody who is going to be in those parks, and they will want to leave as soon as they are done with the fireworks show or whatever that end of the day thing is. And you can stick it out and go on a few more rides.
Because we see the looks on those faces of people that rope drop. It's around 3 or 4 o'clock, and they're covered in sweat, and the kids are, screaming and crying, cranky, hangry, any of the above.
Yeah. So that one I thought was kind of a fun one. Okay, this next one is
I don't know where you came up with this one.
I have heard this more than once, and this is definitely for people that are coming, I would say, more from out west. They don't come to Florida a lot. And that one is, I wish I would have known that there are going to be little lizards everywhere at my resort. Just around everywhere.
Those are just yummy little appetizers for the birds.
Well, they kind of are.
So we have so many lizards, around.
Just like,
even
our neighborhood.
Our condo, when we lived there a couple of years ago.
We used to have Larry the Lizard hang out by our door.
Yes, she started naming the lizards. That's how many
They all
there
get
are.
the name Larry, all of them.
Yes.
But lizards are going to be everywhere. And so don't freak out if you see them running across or, hanging out. If, rarely will they get into your resort room.
Usually
so
they
don't
try
worry
to
about
avoid you.
that. Yeah, usually they're just going to scamper and run away from you, just like the squirrels
They're going to
do.
scamper.
They are going to scamper. So watch out for Larry the lizard. But he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
Yes.
And hopefully you won't see a bird eat a lizard. That's a little traumatizing. We
We-
actually saw that about a week ago outside our back
A
window.
crow landed in our backyard and landed
And
right
had
on
a
a
big old
lizard.
lizard in his mouth. Then.
Anyway, I digress.
Okay, well let's move on.
Let's
You will not be seeing lizards being eaten
No,
at your
no,
resort.
no.
Never. Okay.
The next one is, I wish I would have known there was only one sink in the bathroom area.
Yeah, and if you think about it, if you were in a room and you have 4 people in there, having one sink versus having 2 sinks makes a big difference when you're all trying to get ready in the morning.
If you do want 2 sinks or more, you're going to have to start at a moderate resort. And actually it's a good reason, especially if you're going to have 4 people, not even 4 adults, but 2 adults and 2 kids, let them have their own sink.
Yeah, and at the deluxe resorts, they're just a little more counter space, but you still have the 2 sinks, and it makes a big difference. I always say the number of bathrooms, depending upon the makeup of your party, is something to think about before you try to convince yourself to save money. Again, at the end of the day,
That is
you
true.
want the experience to just be like, we're not all fighting for the bathroom at one time.
Next up on the list, and this is something we do here pretty often as well.
And I like this one.
I know. I didn't realize. I wish I would have known that there were so many rocket launches that you can actually see from Disney
Yeah, and these happen just about every single month.
or week. I think they've done 40 or 50 and it's only May.
Yeah, it's incredible. And what's kind of fun is we have experienced it not just from our home here in Windermere, but when we have been at the Disney resort. So one of the times we were over staying at Riviera Resort, we actually were doing a live at the time, which was
That's right.
kind of fun. This was probably about 4 years ago.
And this is pure happenstance.
Yeah, this was pure happenstance. I used to have an app. There used to be an app that you could have, and it would give you an alert. And I don't know if it alerted us or there was somebody else there standing there. I want to say it was a cast member.
I think someone started pointing at it.
Yeah, and they were saying there's going to be a rocket launch. And so we were standing in the perfect spot. Keep in mind, the cloud covering, everything has to be perfectly aligned. And if it is, you will 100% see this little ball of light that goes up. It's really, really cool to see.
It's even better at night.
It's even better at night. And if you're at the cruise port and you happen to be, have good timing there, sometimes you can see them. We've been on a cruise ship in Port Canaveral where we were all just waiting because it was a big rocket launch that was happening at like 8 a.m. And so we're on the balcony. We were filming.
It seemed like it was only like a mile away from the ship.
It was so
maybe
cool.
2 miles.
But we've even been at All Star and we were staying there one time and there happened to be a rocket launch and we could see it from there. So here's the caveat is they do scrub these missions all the time. But if you love this stuff, get on some alerts, get on their YouTube page. And it's something that could just add some extra magic to your vacation.
Another tip in regards to that is don't plan your vacation around going to try and see a rocket launch. So many people will go down, they'll drive to Canaveral, they'll be at one of the parks there, and the launch gets scrubbed. I mean, the weather, I can't tell you how many times like, oh, is there a rocket launch? Nope, it's going to be next week now. So don't plan it. But if you're at the Disney resorts, if you're aware of it, just kind of keep an eye out for them.
Yeah, if it happens, then good for you. Okay, this next one is, you know what? I wish I would have known or really considered that water park and sports option add-on to my park ticket.
Yeah, exactly. Typhoon Lagoon and Blizzard Beach can be added to your tickets. It depends on which one happens to be open at the time. But both of those have really good theming and stories behind them, especially Blizzard Beach, that a rogue snowstorm hit Florida and blah, blah, blah. But there's so much more to do, especially if you have kids that like water slides. I don't care what resort you're staying at. The slides aren't that great, especially compared to what Disney has at the water parks.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize that this is an add-on that you can have to your park ticket, whether you have the 1 park per day ticket or you have the park hopper. What I love about this particular add-on is if you are coming in the summer months and you love water parks, maybe they don't have them where you're at, or your kids are going to love it. If you have a 4-day park ticket, you can visit the water park 4 times. So it's an equal number and you don't have to do one or the other. You could go to the water park in the morning and then finish the afternoon in the parks. That's one way to do it. Also included with this ticket are the golf, like the mini golf and the foot golf courses.
We did foot golf last year. Oh, God, the year before. I can't believe that.
I know. It was really hot, by the way.
It was very hot. And it's something, foot golf to us, it was just the two of us. There's almost nobody else out there. We had a blast.
Yeah. So you can have that add-on. It's really not that much more, especially if you think that you will go to the water park at least twice. You have definitely paid for it.
Yes.
Makes sense. If you love golf, or maybe your spouse loves golf, one of the things that we've heard is, you know what, I wish I would have known that Disney has some really nice golf courses, because my husband wasn't too excited about the trip and we could have let him have the day off and just go play golf over at one of the Disney courses.
When we were talking about this part of the show, I was like, I think there are only two. There are actually four. There's 3 18-hole courses and a 9-hole course. The 9-hole course is where you would do the foot golf.
Yeah, and a good strategy would be, you know what, let the golfers in your family go maybe in the morning, make that kind of like your sleep in and resort day, and then they can go and enjoy that. And then maybe later in the afternoon, you can all just go and do like maybe mini golf. If you did a vacation package, you get a free round of mini golf. So you could kind of make this a good off, like your non-park day activity, which would be, I think, a pretty smart idea.
And they're Disney golf courses, so they are exceptionally maintained.
Yeah. So those are just 9 things that we have heard from our clients or have come from some of our own travels of things that we wish we would have known before we planned and went to Walt Disney World.
So what is something that you would have liked to have known before your Disney trip? Let us know on social media and also in the YouTube comments if you're watching this on YouTube. I'm waving to you right now. If you're listening to us in the car, you don't know that. But on YouTube, go there and enter whatever you think, whatever you wish you knew, and we will be sure to answer that.
Yeah, and if you get at least one good tip from our show, whether it's a money saving, maybe it's just something you didn't know that you should check out, or if we're just helping you save time so you can have a more magical trip, be sure to share the show with one of your friends, because sharing is caring.
That is true. That is very true.
I've heard that.
Especially if you're sharing our videos. We like that. So if we can help you plan your next vacation, whether it's Disney or land or sea or international, please reach out to us at creatingmagicvacations.com or one of our CMV travel agents. We're into abbreviations.
Yeah, and definitely make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel or to the show on your favorite podcast player, wherever you listen to us, because next week we are going to be sharing our experience of our very first international trip to Disney, and that is Disneyland Paris Review.
As always, thank you so much for spending your valuable time with us. We know you have a lot of options when it comes to either videos or podcasting. And until next time, have a magical day.
We hope to see you real soon.